the new tragedy in the NFL tonight.
Cowboys nose tackle Josh Brent was arrested early this morning and faces a charge of intoxication manslaughter.
Jovan Belcher was supposed to be taking the field today for the Chiefs. That is not going to happen, however. Police say Belcher killed his girlfriend on Saturday and then killed himself in front of his coach.
What a rough weekend for the NFL. Cover of Time magazine this week. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, is there. The question, can Roger Goodell save football? And here's what they write. Here's the tabloid reality facing Goodell's NFL. Given all the news about retired NFL players suffering from mental illness or killing themselves while coping with brain damage associated with head trauma from playing football, it is natural to wonder, what if? The Belcher tragedy may be another warning sign. George Will, are the pressures of pro football worth our cheers?
It may be a guilty pleasure the way boxing now is. We don't look at boxing the way we used to because we know what's happening to brain trauma. George, let me give you some numbers. In 1980, there were 3 NFL players weighed more than 300 pounds. In 2011, there were 352 over 300 pounds. Football is played basically within 10 yards of either side of the line of scrimmage, and in that 20 yards, these big men are quick as cats, and the kinetic energy is such that the body is simply not made for it. Last year, 31 of 32 NFL offensive lines averaged more than 300 pounds. I don't think the body's made for it, and I think these men are paying a terrible price.
Well, let me start marrying out a co-chairman of the Super Bowl in 2013 in New Orleans. And it's to demonstrate the fact that I'm never going to run for public office in Louisiana. The commissioner is a friend of mine, and I like the commissioner. Okay, so that's the elimination.
Get that on the table. Okay.
Having said that, I think he knows that he's dealing with a major problem. He's very upfront about it. They're now talking about eliminating kickoffs. I wouldn't be surprised.
You think that's going to happen?
Well, they think. Some people say the three-point stance could be gone. That lineman, that people may just start from a stand. I don't know if that's going to happen. But you know what he's not doing, and I give him a lot of credit for this. He's not denying it. He's up front. It's a huge game. It's a wonderful game. But this is a real problem. This head trauma is a real problem, and he's not denying it. I don't think any other person would deny that.
This is a huge problem, and I'm going to be up front. I'm a long-time suffering Detroit Lion fan, so like eliminating football in some ways is not going to affect our city all that much since we've never won. I have 3 boys. And 2 of them played, and I live in Austin, Texas, home of Friday Night Lights. Football is like a religion there. My 2 oldest played football. I actually encouraged my youngest one to play lacrosse instead of football because of the risk of injury and what happens in football. I think the commissioner is basically all he's done is window dressing. On the flight down here, I sat right next to Earl Campbell, but Tyler Rose, the guy who was dominant force. He had to come on the plane on a wheelchair. He had to come on the plane, and he could barely get up to even walk to the bathroom. His knees were shot, his hands were shot, and I don't think the NFL has done their players right and done the country right by dealing with. They have not dealt with the brain injuries that have happened in this country. They keep doing things like going to eliminate the kickoff when they know there's a fundamental problem here that they have not dealt with.
10 seconds.
Change isn't going to come from the top down, from Goodell down. It's going to come from parents withdrawing their children from that sport.
I'm sorry. I think he's done some things. They have to wait out games. They have to be under evaluation. I don't want to be a suck up to the commissioner, but I think he's taking this seriously.
That's going to have to be the last word. Thank you all very much. And now we honor our fellow Americans who serve and sacrifice. This week, the Pentagon released the names of 3 soldiers and Marines killed in Afghanistan. And finally, your voice this week. Henry Kinch Jr. has today's question. How long is a second-term president relevant prior to lame duck setting in? Well, to quote Bill Clinton, the president is always relevant. As commander-in-chief and chief executive, far and away the most powerful person in the country, even when leverage over Congress fades, which does happen. The window for real legislative success generally closes before the midterm elections. But presidents have achieved a lot during years 5 and 6. That's when Dwight Eisenhower signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Ronald Reagan forged a bipartisan compromise on tax reform in his 6th year. And Bill Clinton did the same with the Balanced Budget Act that put the U.S. on the road to surplus in 1997. All models for President Obama as he begins year 5. Send in your questions on Twitter at @GStephanopoulos. And James and Mary are going to stick around and answer your tweets for this week's Web Extra. That is all for us today. Thanks for sharing part of your Sunday with us. Check out World News with David Muir tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow on GMA.